We all have our favorite Christmas movies. We all have our favorite Halloween movies. Some of us even have our favorite Valentine's Day movies. But what's your favorite St. Patrick's Day movie? Your favorite Easter movie? Your favorite Mother's or Father's Day movie? What's your favorite International Women's Day movie? Mine is this one. May I introduce you to Into the Dark, a series of horror movies made by Hulu and Blumhouse, where each movie is about a specific holiday, and the movies were released on those holidays. There was a season 1 that went through 2018 through 2019, and season 2 went through 2019 through 2021. Movies in this series cover conventional holidays like Christmas, Thanksgiving, 4th of July, but as the series goes on, it covers more niche holidays like April Fool's Day, First Day of School, Daughter's Day, Pet Appreciation Week. All the movies in this series are quite the mixed bag, so I made it my New Year's resolution for 2025 is that I'm going to cover every single movie in this series when the holiday hits in the year. So like on Easter, I'll be covering the Easter movie, if that makes sense. So today, if you can't guess it, I'm covering the 2 Christmas movies in this series, and also since there's not much time left until 2025, I'll also be covering the 2 New Year's Eve movies in this video. I'll give each movie a rating based on how much it encapsulates the holiday, and at the very end, I will rank them from best to not best. The first movie I'll talk about is Pooka, which is a Christmas movie which came out in 2018. It's about a struggling actor who gets a gig playing the mascot for the hottest new toy, Pooka. With his newfound fame, his grip on reality slips as the line between him and Pooka is blurred.
I'm losing control.
Out of all the movies I'm going to be talking about in this video, this one is certainly the most horror movie. Like, if you showed someone the first 5 minutes of this movie without telling them anything, they would probably go, "Oh, is this a horror movie?" And they might not say that about every movie on this list. There is an audition scene at the beginning which is extremely gripping, shot well, acted well, and it just sets the tone for the rest of the movie. The Pooka design itself is an equal balance of cute and scary. If you watched my Smile 2 video, you know I'm not the biggest fan of big plot points happening, then just to be revealed it was all in the character's head, but this movie actually does it right. Every time something's revealed to just be in his head, it actually creates suspense and questioning on what else is in his head. Is he actually thinking on doing these things? And it gets you to question your sense of reality in a good way, not just sort of a cheap way. My only critique is that it sort of goes off the rails a bit at the end. I sort of lost interest in the last 20 minutes. As we focus more and more about our main character's personal life and what he's experiencing and going through, instead of also focusing on the mystery and intrigue about this toy company and about Pooka himself. But it's really set up in the first half about the company and the people working for it is going to play a bigger role in this movie, and then they just don't, as it just focuses on him and his relationships with other people. There is a sequel titled Pooka Lives, so maybe we get more answers out of that movie, but that's an Easter movie, so I'll be covering that one on Easter. But the big question is, does Pooka embody the Christmas holiday spirit? Is it a good Christmas movie? Well, I'd say so, because it is a critique on capitalism, commercialism, buying all these things for Christmas, and how fame and money can get to one's head, and I liked those themes, so overall I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10 on the holiday meter. The next Christmas movie I'll talk about is called A Nasty Piece of Work, released in 2019. The Christmas movie space has become oversaturated. There's too many movies about saving Christmas, but what about savings for Christmas? Okay, that was bad. This movie is about a guy who wants to get a Christmas bonus from his boss. It's about 2 employees and their wives who find themselves at their boss's house after a Christmas party and the devilish trials they have to complete in order to see who gets a promotion.
For this rather unorthodox job interview?
This is wrong on so many levels.
It gives very slight hints of Ready or Not, and I only say that because it takes place in a mansion and it's about an evil rich person. The first half was quite gripping and funny because this is a horror comedy after all. I enjoyed the many twists and turns it took, as it's just these 6 people talking about their interpersonal conflicts, my favorite kind of conflict, and the problems and drama they have with each other. The 2 men are hiding different secrets from their wives, all while trying to impress a boss who doesn't even really care about them at the end of the day, and the boss's wife is a real loose cannon. But once we reach the second half of the movie, it decides to trade out internal conflict with external conflict, as once we were doing mind games and psychological warfare against each other becomes actual warfare with weapons as they run around the house trying to kill each other. I guess that's another parallel to Ready or Not, is that they use old-timey weapons in a mansion. There is a cool twist that happens at the end that caught me off guard and I enjoyed it, but it was a little too late in my opinion. It already kind of lost me. And the second half also kind of forgets it's a comedy, and there's not really any jokes until the very, very end, which kind of caused some tonal whiplash of like, oh yeah, wait, this is a comedy. Overall, I like this story and how it works as a Christmas movie. I actually just think this would work better as a play, because most of the movie is just 6 people in one room talking, and the action and violence that happen in it could actually be really easily replicated on stage. So I just say more psychological warfare, less stabbing, and this would sweep the Tonys. Again, this movie is about capitalism and why it's bad and how lots of people rely on Christmas bonuses and then they don't get it and all that stuff. But other than that, there's not much Christmas to it. So I'm going to have to give it a 6 out of 10 holiday rating. Now it's time to talk about the New Year's movies. I would do a costume change and put on like a little party hat, but I don't have one. So you're stuck with this. The first New Year's movie from Into the Dark is called New Year, New You, which released in 2018. This movie is about a New Year's Eve party thrown by a group of childhood friends who invite their one friend who is now a famous influencer to join them. And they plan to expose a dark secret of hers.
The world deserves to know the truth.
This again is a one-location thriller that takes place over the course of one night with a small group of characters, and in that way it's very similar to a nasty piece of work. So much so, I actually have the same exact critiques. This movie in the first half works so well when they're just doing psychological warfare against each other. There's a mystery. You don't know why they invited her here, what's their plan, and as the truth of events slowly get unraveled and revealed, you're on the edge of the seat and you're like, oh wow, that really happened. But in the third act, it just decides to be people running around a house with knives trying to kill each other. And when it decides to do that, it just sort of loses its uniqueness, as a lot of horror movies are people running around a house trying to kill each other. This is another horror comedy about influencers and how we as an audience engage with them, but it still just sort of kind of comes off cringe. And I don't say that to like make fun of this movie. I think every single movie I've ever seen that has an influencer character in it is sort of cringe, because we're still sort of living in that era and really no one knows how to write a genuine non-satirical version of an influencer.
Soon it will be a new year, and when the clock strikes 12, I want you to become the new you.
There is a really funny gag where they're trying to tie someone down, and so they use the balloon strings of the New Year's balloons to tie them down, like the big number balloons that say the year. I thought that was funny. And then also, I guess you could say there's a connection about New Year's resolutions and how these wellness influencers try to sell you all this stuff that doesn't really work, and sort of ingenuous, like, oh, this will be a new year, new you, be better for yourself. So I liked the critique of that, and just the fact it takes place on New Year's Eve. Those are really the only real connections to the holiday, and for that reason, I'm going to have to give it a 5 out of 10 holiday rating. Oh yeah, there's also a joke in the movie about how the influencer hooked up with Elon Musk. That kind of has a different context nowadays, I guess. The last movie I'll be talking about is titled Midnight Kiss, which released in 2019. It's another New Year's Eve movie, and guess what? This one's a slasher. It takes place on New Year's Eve when a friend group is hunted by someone from their past.
Change is coming.
Out with the old, in with the new.
This movie I have the opposite complaint of. There's almost too much drama and interpersonal conflict and not enough physical violence to really justify it being a slasher movie. There are very, very long stretches of time where the slasher just disappears. Like at the beginning he kills 2 people and then you don't see him for a good like 20 maybe 30 minutes in the middle there, which is sad because the slasher disappears right during the New Year's countdown, and you know, that could have been an interesting sequence if, you know, a killer was there when you're counting down. There are 2 types of slasher movies. One type is where the people in it know they're being hunted. They see a dead body very early on and they're like, oh shoot, we gotta run, hide, strategize, and that's the rest of the movie. The other kind of slasher movie is when the people don't know they're being hunted, and it's not until the beginning of the 3rd act when they discover a body for the first time, and we're like, oh shoot, all of our friends have been dying this whole time and we didn't even notice. Then the last act is them running, hiding, and strategizing. And this movie falls into the second category, and I wish it was the first. Because you can still have beef and drama with each other while running and hiding from a slasher, but it seems like this movie thinks you have to push pause on the slasher stuff just to get out all this drama, which is a big part of the movie. Like, the whole concept of the movie is about a friend group who has this tradition of like, hey, during New Year's Eve, you get to cheat on your partner for the whole night. And of course, there are people who are dating each other who maybe don't like that idea, and that's where the interpersonal conflict comes from.
Remember when you guys were just switching each other in and out of your bedroom? Like the sluttiest game of musical chairs?
And you guys?
Oh, yes.
But the kills that are there are done pretty well. There's a good New Year's Eve themed kill that I liked. There's another New Year's Eve themed kill that I really, really wish happened, but the other characters save the person from dying before it happens, but I kind of wanted to see it happen. I will say that I appreciated the fact that this movie is about a queer friend group and their token straight friend. I liked that because I think too many movies with like queer leads are about coming out for the first time or facing hate crimes and all this stuff, but it's just a queer friend group who experiences joy and laughs with each other, and they don't experience hate crimes, just regular crimes of murder. It does take place on New Year's Eve, but it kind of really could take place any time of just a friend group going to a music festival or some big party. It doesn't really have anything to do with New Year's Eve besides you get to kiss other people and that there are a few New Year's Eve related kills. And for that reason, I'm going to have to give it a 4 out of 10 on the holiday scale. So those are the 4 Christmas and New Year's Eve related Into the Dark horror movies. And as of right now, this is my ranking of all the movies. It actually turns out that it's just the order I talked about them in. So my favorite so far is Pooka, followed by A Nasty Piece of Work, then New Year, New You, and lastly, Midnight Kiss. And I'll keep updating this list as I talk about more of these movies. The next movies I'll talk about are the Valentine's Day ones in February, so I'll see you guys then. Have a great happy holidays, and thank you for 3,000 subscribers. You made my Christmas wishes come true. Now make another wish come true and check out the next video.